These cruel, wanton, indiscriminate bombings of London are, of course, a part of Hitler's invasion plan. He hopes, by killing large numbers of civilians and women and children, that he will terrorize and cow the people of this mighty imperial city and make them a burden and anxiety to the government, and thus distract our attention unduly.
This week, me and my partner Tom Payne are researching into the Blitz conspiracy about Churchill knowing about the bombing happening in Coventry.
Due to the significantly large raided bombing on Coventry in 1941, November the 14th, Coventry has changed its appearance over the years.
This is Coventry Cathedral, one of the main targets of the World War II Blitz bombing, alongside the factories that was used to build our planes, cars and tanks. After the rockage, Winston Churchill visited the cathedral to see the structure and what happened, and as the conspiracy is based around him not telling Coventry about the bombing, the cathedral got destroyed because of him. As you can see, this is the bell tower of the cathedral.
So the bells were not affected in the war when the Blitz happened, but there were some minor damages due to the roof collapsing just behind me. In this room, part of the wall did collapse and shatter, but some of the bells were replaced.
We found out yesterday some new information about Hitler and his whole idea plans. We found out that, at first, Hitler's idea was to bomb the RAF and continue bombing them until the war was done. But because the RAF bombed Berlin, where Hitler was actually placed at the time, Hitler changed his idea to start bombing England's cities. From doing this, he let the RAF recover and actually win the war, but also, changing his whole idea changed the plans of what Hitler wanted to do. Because at first, Hitler wanted to actually live in England because he loved the buildings and the history behind it. His whole plan was he was going to live in Buckingham Palace, and all his first generals were going to live in all the castles near him.
Well, it was certainly a very terrible experience for the people of Coventry, because nothing really like it had been experienced before. We knew about Guernica, what had been done there in the Spanish Civil War, but this was really about the first time that it had been experienced in the heaviness and the concentration which the city of Coventry experienced it in November 1940. Obviously there'd been the Blitz on London during the Battle of Britain, which had started in September 1940 and then gone on, and then all the other raids which happened later.
We found out that it was not days before Winston Churchill found out, it was actually 3 hours before, which is quite interesting information, because back then it would have been quite hard for Churchill to actually tell Coventry itself that they were on the hit list. At first, Churchill thought it was either going to be Birmingham or Leicester, but after cracking the code even more, we found out it was actually Coventry.
Well, obviously being a Coventry citizen, I feel that on the one hand it was wrong to sacrifice Coventry because the conspiracy is suggesting that he knew in advance that Coventry was going to be bombed. And my parents were actually in the bombing when that took place. However, the thought is that because he knew that, it enabled them to perhaps save more lives because they broke the code.
After the break, me and Jack will be interviewing David Cameron and asking for his opinion on the conspiracy, and asking what he would do if he was in Churchill's shoes.